What's good, guys? Lil Rashido back again with another video. Today I'm going to be discussing the Man United dilemma. What's the first thing we need to know? What is going on? And to summarize it in the best of my ability, 3 things. Ruben Amorim got fired. Michael Carrick, as of today, January 13th, got appointed as interim manager till the end of the season. And third, and most important, the Man United board is lying. To answer first, why was Ruben Amorim fired? Simple enough. It wasn't really performance. Man United are top 6. At the time of his firing, Manchester United were in pole position to fight for the Champions League. It wasn't pragmatism. For those who don't know what pragmatism is, it's pretty much a type of football that isn't front-footed per se, but it's because of a fallout with the board. Who is the board? The men in charge of Ruben Amorim's firing were Jason Wilcox on the center and Omar Barada on the right, 2 higher-ups for Man United, which a lot of fans claim are destroying the club, and I agree. These are men appointed by Sir Jim Ratcliffe and the Ineos ownership of Man United. So, what's going on? Simple enough. Ruben Amorim went to the press telling, I am the head coach of Man United. I did not come here to be the head coach of Man United. Ruben Amorim says he was hired to become the manager of the club. But Omar Barada and Jason Wilcox restricted his ability to have his fingerprints on the team. Why is this bad? Because if you leave the footballing to the men who don't know football, everything is gonna fall apart. You see, Jason Wilcox, Omar Barada, yes, they do have experience as sporting directors and higher-ups in the footballing world, but a manager always needs to have his fingerprints on his team. Ruben Amorim just wanted that. Spoke to the press about it, which I agree is not the right thing to do. You should contact within the team, within the organization. Try keeping everything as discreet as possible. It's ungentlemanlike for Ruben Amorim to express himself to the press and make this a whole public thing. But regardless, it looked as if he expressed this to Jason Wilcox and Omar Barada, he would be fired. So, in result, Ruben Amorim was sacked, getting a 10 million Great British Pound severance package. And then Man United, for the next few games, appointed Darren Fletcher as caretaker manager, with a 2-2 draw against Burnley, and then a 1-2 loss in the FA Cup against Brighton. So, as of today it was official. Man United appointed Michael Carrick as Man United interim manager, not head coach, interim manager, which I find interesting that the official title is interim manager, even though Ruben Amorim was the head coach. But what does this mean for Man United? This means Man United will go back to a back 4 as they play with Darren Fletcher as the interim, and they will play the quote-unquote Manchester United way under Michael Carrick, which is front-footed, counter-attacking, attacking football. Personally, as a Man United fan, I love this. I was never a big fan of the back 5 and the pragmatism by Ruben Amorim, but there is some side effects that will come with this appointment. One thing that will come with this appointment is a bit of uncertainty, because previously to the sacking of Ruben Amorim, Man United were firmly in the position to fight for a top 4 place in the Premier League. As on this day, January 13th, Tuesday, Man United are placed 7th in the Premier League, tied on points with Newcastle at 32. Because this is probably the weakest the mid-table of the Premier League has been, in my opinion, in the history of the game. Because you have Arsenal at nearly 50 points, Man City and Aston Villa both tied at 43. Then from there, from 4th to around 15 is a 10-point gap, 9-point gap between 15, which is Man United's worst finish ever, and 4th, which would probably be a heroic effort for Man United to finish, is absolutely crazy. So the volatility of this is, we have no idea where anything's happening. Man United were in a great position with Ruben Amorim. Although it wasn't pretty, we were winning games and getting results somewhat, even though he ended off his tenure with 2 draws against very much bad teams, in Wolves as in the worst team, and Leeds in an, pretty alright team actually, in my opinion. I do really rate them this year as one of the bottom teams. I think they should be in the conversation to be in that top 15 range. They are the next team out of it after Bournemouth. But to stop yapping in general, this is not good. There's definitely going to be side effects. And on top of that, the January transfer window looks like it's dead for Man United. I've seen statements that Man United are not going to emphasize improving the team in this window, which is somewhat tragic because the utter need for a 6 will end up hurting us, although I do believe in Casemiro as a short-term option. I very much think Ruben Neves will repair this team in ways that I cannot say. I think having a genuine 6 would be amazing, but it's not looking like that. Another good side effect, I would say, is the resurgence of Kobbie Mainoo and the resurgence of youth in general. Because under Ruben Amorim, there was subpar youth inflictions. Obviously, we had the uprising of Amad Diallo, but Amad Diallo is an already established player. But we had the instance of Seny Lamens. I'm not going to count that also. The only youth product I will allow to credit Ruben Amorim to bringing up is Aiden Heaven. And I cannot say enough good things about Aiden Heaven because, frankly, for me, we spent a ton of money on Lenny Yoro. He's looking 10 times the player. My opinion, I'd say I have some weight to that. I'm a big fan of the game. I watch the game tactically. I cannot explain. Actually, I can explain. I can explain in such. I need so much to say. Okay, I have so much to say about Aiden Heaven. Because simply the passing range he has is so underrated. In a back 3, he really got to drift into the midfield slightly and connect the defense with the midfield, which I thought would be Lisandro Martinez's role. No. Ruben Amorim trusted, I'm pretty sure, 20-year-old, 19-year-old Aiden Heaven, and he did the job out of his mind. But to be honest, that is about it. There's really been no youth injections in the Ruben Amorim era at Man United. You could argue to the latter stages of Bendito Mantato, a bit of Shea Lacey, and the Fletcher twins. But only one of the twins got minutes. Benito Mandato barely got minutes, and so did Shea Lacey. And I would say Shea Lacey emerging as more Darren Fletcher than Ruben Amorim, which is crazy to say, because Darren Fletcher played 2 games and did not get a win as caretaker manager of Man United. And he'd still probably done, aside from Aiden Heaven, just as much, if not more, for the youth of the club, because he didn't hinder Kobbie Mainoo. Kobbie Mainoo being able to play in a team will feed families. My favorite player on that pitch will and always will be Kobbie Mainoo because he is Carrington born and raised. Although I'm pretty sure he's from Watford or Stockport, one of the two. I'm not sure. But man, this guy started a Euro final for England. But he can't get minutes over Manuel Ugarte, who might literally have stones for feet. I've never seen a worse first touch. I have a better first touch, and I'm shit. I'm really bad at the game. I have a better first touch. Passing range, I have a better passing range than Manuel Ugarte. The only thing is work rate. The man, he can work. But that's it. But Kobbie Mainoo, to be deployed in a deep-lying playmaker role, is genuinely such a big win for Man United. I don't know why Ruben Amorim was so stupid for that. But Michael Carrick, who is one of Man United's best sixes of all time, one of Man United's most underrated midfielders of all time, in my personal opinion, I think in his era, he's one of the best sixes, or DMs, the Premier League has seen. Which is kind of crazy, because he's never really a jump off the pages guy. He's like a Sergio Busquets. In my opinion, he's the English equivalent of Sergio Busquets. He can do everything for you at the six. His passing range is amazing. I feel like he can implement that into Kobbie Mainoo as he should, because Kobbie Mainoo deserves the best. Because he is the best. People don't understand how good of a talent this man is. You want to rave about, okay, you're Marc Casados. You're whatever Barca have coming out of La Masia. You're Andre Santos even. I really rate Andre Santos. One of my favorite midfielders to watch, especially in his lone time at Strasbourg. But at Chelsea, amazing. This guy's better than all of them by a mile. Okay, I'm going to say something crazy. It's very crazy. I don't really mean it. Apart from Declan Rice and Jude Bellingham, he's probably England's best midfielder. I might be forgetting someone there. But Declan Rice is probably the best midfielder in the world right now, personally. Amazing. Jude Bellingham, on his day, is also one of the best midfielders in the world. But Kobbie Mainoo, it's crazy as it is, he's generational. And the misuse of Kobbie Mainoo generally hindered this club in so many ways. And Michael Carrick will find a way to implement him. Even though he did not play good again in Darren Fletcher's system. But the fact that he will be implemented in a regular role, I can't begin to explain how much that'll do for his career and how much that'll do for the culture of the club. Enough yapping. Moving on to the final thing I want to discuss is what's this Michael Carrick situation? Will he end up being permanent manager? Who could end up being permanent manager in the summer? And what's going on from now until then? So my understanding of the situation is that Man United wish to just keep Michael Carrick as strictly interim. Obviously, he will have his name thrown around in the summer job. But there's guys like Thomas Tuchel. I love Thomas Tuchel. One of my favorite managers. In my opinion, he took a mediocre Chelsea team to winning the Champions League. He could do that for us, not to that level, obviously, but he could take a mediocre Man United team with some great talent, honestly. Brian Mbeumo, Amad Diallo, Bruno Fernandes, Kobbie Mainoo, Aiden Heaven, Lenny Yoro, Lisandro Martinez, Matthijs de Ligt, Patrick Dorgu I really rate. Sonny Lams is amazing. And Benjamin Sesko. Benjamin Sesko has so much potential. He could take a team like that on its low. And I think this is like the floor for us if we get Thomas Tuchel after the England job. I think we could consistently finish maybe 5th or 4th in the Premier League. Consistently. By dominating the lower teams and getting a few wins against the good teams. Which for Man United would be so good. I think the Luis Enrique appointment is so unrealistic. I think he's probably going to end up working for a national team, but I have no idea on that. The Xabi Alonso appointment is unrealistic, even though I would like that just as much as a Thomas Tuchel, because I'm a fan of Xabi Alonso's tactical flexibility and how good of a manager he is and how much he was disrespected at Real Madrid. I feel like he is just he was just caught in a horrible situation. And then apart from that, Oliver Glasner, personally I do never want to see Man United try a back three again, even though it for the first season it worked defensively, there was no offense. But when there's too much offense, there's no defense. I need balance. I think Thomas Tuchel can bring balance to this club. So my prediction is that Thomas Tuchel. I want to stay optimistic because I'm not really British, but I have I have British nationality. I want to say that my pick for the World Cup are England. Obviously, it's not happening, but like optimistically, England win the World Cup. Thomas Tuchel, greatest manager. Bang, headlines, headlines. What is his next move? Oh, I already get. If I'm Thomas Tuchel, I'm saying like, oh, I already achieved the best. Why not do better? Take the hardest job in sports. I don't care who you think you are. American football fans might say, oh yeah, go coach the Browns. Go GM the Raiders. Fix the Jets. What's harder is fixing Man United. And we're not that broken. It's just such a bad environment to fix things. And I feel like Thomas Tuchel is the man for it. The problem with this is Thomas Tuchel is a manager who would like to get his fingerprints on the team. Like to have a say in what happens in other departments. Which is exactly what Enzo Maresca wanted and Ruben Amorim did. The difference is, I think Thomas Tuchel has enough reputation to demand this, and will be granted it to an extent in working with Jason Wilcox and Omar Barada. But if somehow, some way, Thomas Tuchel is the manager of my football club, it has to work out because I'd put all my chips in Thomas Tuchel, one of my favorite managers. Eventually, one day, when I spark a managerial career, I want to coach football like Thomas Tuchel. Tommy Tux. But if I'm being fully realistically, there's one option that I don't want to mention because I don't want it to happen, but there's a good chance it will. It's Gareth Southgate. We've already seen Gareth Southgate's second in command being operated as Michael Carrick's second in command. Currently in the interim staff, along with Johnny Evans, for Man United's interim staff, yeah. And obviously Gareth Southgate has a history with Jim Ratcliffe, and I'm quite sure also Jason Wilcox. I was not a fan of Gareth Southgate ball. Okay, we're going from England manager to England manager. He's better than Carrick. It would work better than like Ollie Glasner, I think. Work better than not Iraola, but he would work better than a decent amount of managers. He'd work better than Ruben Amorim by far. Which is crazy to say. I just don't want to see it happen because it means that Man United aren't moving forward. We're staying in a line. And what's the one thing Man United were promised? With Ineos, we are going to get better. Things are going to change. Things changed, but also stayed the same in a way that the board's going to keep lying. They want to back their manager. But then when the manager asks, oh, do you have my back? They're like, no. And then he gets upset, he gets frustrated, speaks out about it, and gets fired. Which is going to become a cycle unless we break it. We can't have managers like Gareth Southgate doing this. We need to get the Luis Enriquez, the Thomas Tuchels, the Xabi Alonsos, but they will want fingerprints on the team. But Man United have to allow it. This is how I would fix the club. I'm a huge fan of the club, so whatever they do, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna be so pessimistic about it. I'm gonna be like, oh, it's gonna end up, it's gonna turn to shit unless we do something good. But I'm still gonna not believe anything good is happening because of how this club is run. I don't know anybody in the club personally, but let's be real. Every basic football fan or every person who is not stupid could kind of understand how these sick Glazer family and Ineos ownership run Man United. They don't know what they're doing. It's like a headless chicken. They want to please the owners, the Glazers, who are stupid. They don't know how to run anything. And they're trying to please the fans, but it's not going to work because stuff like this takes time. It takes time. It's a project. Why do you think Arsenal are such a good team right now? Because Mikel Arteta went through everything. He went from being ass to being less ass to being mid to being less mid to being alright to being to being mediocre, then to being okay, decent, then to finally leveling up and being good. And once he hit good, the next season they finished second and like, oh, this guy's great. This team is great, destined for great things. Go far in the Champions League, contend for the Premier League. Boom. Next season, go far in the Champions League, and currently are number one in the Premier League. I generally think if Arsenal don't win the Premier League, they have a decent shot at the Champions League, because even though it is haram ball, that team is so good, so well balanced, and Man United need to build a project like that, and patience and belief will need to come from the board and the fans. That'll be all from me, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, and have a splendid rest of your day.